Scanning for audio.
Right, welcome to a Tin Dog podcast, number 197, although I did intend this being 198 because I wanted Torchwood to be 197, but I thought, no, release them all in one go, all as one lovely little show, because to be fair, not a lot happened in Torchwood, and I could probably sum that up quite quickly, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Let's Kill Hitler. Yes, Let's Kill Hitler, now with 78% less Hitler than you were expecting, because let's face it, he's hardly in it whatsoever. As I'm releasing this, I'm expecting that you've all seen it, and if you haven't, stop it. Stop listening to this. You don't need to hear my rambling. What you need to do is go away and actually watch the episode. Okay? You done that? Sorted? Good. Everyone else in the world is going to love this so much. Because you get answers, you get more questions, you get regeneration, you also get, let me see. Yes, all Time Lords can now be black. There you are. Categorically, you can regenerate as someone black, as one of your lives. Thanks very much. On you go. And you can have anyone you want playing the part. It's now official. Thanks, Steven. That's all sorted. So within one season, we've got Time Lords can regenerate and cross gender, and now they can regenerate and cross what we're going to call race, but obviously, from a sci-fi point of view, race is more, they can come back as a Silurian. Crashing on, I think? Oh, I think so. So, also to do with this, we have the 3 ponds. Yes, there are indeed 3 river ponds. Alright, river songs, whatever you want to call them. You've got the child who is inside the spacesuit. Then she regenerates, standing next to, yes, a black tramp, taking on some of his DNA. There you go. That's a lovely little thing for fans to talk about as well. Then she manages to stay roughly the same age, getting a little bit older as time goes by, worms her way into Rory and Amy's life, and eventually ends up being in this episode, making an entrance just like River Song, getting out the car and everyone going, oh, it's not River Song. Except, of course, it was River Song. See? Marvellous. So this is the origin story, if you see what I mean. So when the River Song box set finally comes out, you can possibly watch this first. Or not. It's one hell of an edit job to put our life in order. Of course, we do see the lovely little blue book turn up. That's nice. The business with the poisoning and the banana and the guns and stuff, nice bit of fluff. But let's face it, that's what it was. But still good. Still good. You're not going to get, a bad thing out of me on that one. And of course at the very end she gives up her regenerations, her remaining ones, to the doctor, which means she can die in the library. That's fine. Yes, I know I've had lots of emails. I'm still leaning towards my original opinions that isn't, she can't regenerate. But now we know why she couldn't regenerate, so that's fine. See, I can live with that. Nice bit of retcon. Now, the silliness of this episode. The numbskulls who live inside. Yes, now, people who live inside your body, it's not a new idea. In the UK, we've got the numbskulls who appeared. Now, I've asked around. Now, I haven't had internet access, so I don't know if this is true, but I thought it was the Beano. Other people thought it was the Dandy. I'm now leaning more towards the Dandy, but either way, there were some characters called the numbskulls who were little people who lived inside the head of someone, and it was the way they saw the world and things like that. I know Eddie Murphy's also done a whole film based on this, which no one has seen. Similar to that, there is the little alien who lives inside the enormous man in Men in Black. So aliens and people living inside other bodies, that's fair enough. I know they take it to the next generation. It's basically, oh look, it's a TARDIS with a working chameleon circuit and they can do whatever they want, but they copy people. Again, that would be nice. It's not a TARDIS. However, the annoying little robot jellyfish people, what? Has the budget just completely gone? They were rubbish. When they're out of focus, everyone in the world was going, okay, all the old school fans were going, oh, Rutan, Rutan. No, just a rubbish monster. Which is why, you could legitimately say Rutan. Did I mention that you've got, the first sighting of the Blue Book? That's so cool. I do like that. I wish they'd release those. I've got one that I made myself, but I made it myself. I want something cool, something bought, something from character options in the stationery section. You know the sort of thing. Come on, guys, I know you're out there. Oh, one thing I did like was a reference to changing history in Kennedy. Now, the little red dwarf fan in me just did a little leap for joy with that, and then referred back to who killed Kennedy, and then it all got a bit convoluted and lost. And that takes us back to Torchwood, but I'm not quite sure why. There was a Torchwood reference. Oh, I'll be playing my Torchwood review in a few moments, which I recorded before this, because obviously that was on first. But I know you want to hear about Doctor Who. That's what's important, isn't it? The business with the exposition on silence did seem sort of, forced a bit. You were kind of going, are you sure? What? This is an info dump, surely. You're just telling us everything. Or nothing. I can't remember. I can't decide what's going on. It's a religious order, so who are the grey aliens then? And oh dear, there's too many questions now. And we're running out of time because it looks like we're going to have, that last Doctor Who story is going to take place when he's... Oh, I'm so sorry. Look, I enjoyed it. It was marvellous. Let's move on. I'm pushed for bandwidth this month. Here's Torchwood. Hello and welcome to Tin Dog Podcast. Now this is probably going to be the second half of this Saturday's Tin Dog Podcast release. As you can hear, my voice is going, so I'm trying to record this as fast as I can before it disappears. If you're playing the Tin Dog Podcast drinking game, the chances are that my voice is about to go and you can of course have another drink. So, because I'm kind of limited for broadband space, or whatever it's called, bandwidth, there's the words, it's going to be a fairly quick review of Torchwood 7. Well, you know what I mean, Torchwood 4.7, whatever it's called. Sins of the Past or something. Yes, I know you know the real name of it, but Immortal Sins, there we are. But I've got some notes and I might as well go through them now. I was going to do an entire show dedicated to it, but as Doctor Who's back this week, well, we all know what's got priority here. It's ridiculous that they're both on at the same time. Sorry, I've said all this before. Crashing on. This feels like old-fashioned Torchwood, and not entirely in a good way. I did find some of the scenes, a little bit, not gratuitous, just not really needed. But hey, this is, a Starz co-production. Let's give the audience what we think they want. In the same way that episode 2 was basically on a plane, this one's basically in the back of a car. Okay, it's got some nice action at the very end and at the very beginning, but apart from that, it's the equivalent of a Clips episode where they've had to make the clips especially. Okay, we get to learn a lot more, apparently, about what's going on. That I can live with. Jack's past liaisons. Has the production crew just forgotten that he used to be, interested in women at all? Or is that just not what's needed for the plot? Yes, we've now got what seem to be the families. That's the three men, with arms, doing that strange handshake, because that's what would occur to anyone doing a handshake like that. Sorry about that, just had to edit out a massive coughing fit. Right, yeah, like I was saying, it's kind of, if you look at it one way, it's just one story. But if you look at it the way, you've got the lovely backstory. Now, I know there is an argument that all this history of this other character, this brand new person, could have been hinted at earlier, but if it was, we would have sat there going, well, yeah, he's got something to do with the miracle or blessing or whatever you want to call it. So I can see the point of delaying it. Now, there's some lovely positive things to do with this. We've got some lovely mentions of the Sarah Jane Smith monsters, the Tricksters. Hooray! Yes, the Trickster Brigade. And I know they were the ones responsible for Turn Left, which brings us back to concentration camp storylines, so that's perfectly acceptable. Also in this, we find out that Jack definitely is not the Doctor, despite the fact that he kinda wants to be. Because he wants a companion, which is fine, but being the Doctor is harder than it looks. Oh, And hands up anyone else who wanted to do the only gay in the village joke when it came on. Yes, I'm looking in your direction, I really am. It's kind of implied in there is mention of the blessing and this woman holds up a vial of Jack's blood, but I didn't think Jack's reanimation kind of worked that way. But, it's magic stroke science, so it doesn't really need rules that, you know what I mean. But I didn't think that that's how it worked. Perhaps I'm wrong, I just don't know. Perhaps I'll find out later. And yeah, the guy still being alive at the end is going to be well over 100, unless he's found some way to be immortal in a strange way, but I'm guessing he's just going to be some old guy. It was a nice ending. You've won, but you'll still want to come with me because, well, I hold the ace in the hole. It's only episode 7, so I'm thinking we've still got to find out a lot more. So in a way it's probably, how can I put it, an end-of-level baddie, rather than the end-of-game monster. Ficor aren't the monster, this other guy probably isn't the monster and just knows about it because he was Jack's mate. Obviously the 3 people were mentioned, it's basically, here's some backstory to make things fit. So yes, on one level, nothing happens, but on another, we've got a lot more questions to be answered in parts 8, 9 and 10. That's what's coming our way. Yes, it's nice. Yes, I can live with it. Don't worry. For me, the nicest thing was sitting there going, oh, it's the woman of DS9. She was great in DS9. Yes, I did watch Deep Space Nine, and I'm going to put my hands up and say I did not watch it at the time. I watched it, I don't know what the word is, but basically shown every day on Sky 1, so that you could watch it as well as soap, an hour-long thing. And watched like that, Deep Space Nine is magnificent. It's not Babylon 5, and I suppose that was the problem at the time. I always used to compare. Don't compare. Let's face it, there isn't a website called CompareTheSci-Fi.com, and thank God for that. Look, I'm starting to ramble. It was good. I'm looking forward to next week's. It could be better, but hey, who might argue? It's only Torchwood. Right, I'm now going to stop recording so that I can step back and let my future self finish off the show. Be seeing you. You have been listening to the Tin Dog Podcast. Doctor Who and its associated shows are all trademark of the BBC. No infringement is intended. Contact us at tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk.
Who wants me dead?
The silence.
What is the silence? Why is it called that? What does it mean?
The silence is not a species. It is a religious order or movement. Their core belief is that silence will fall when the question is asked.
What question?
The first question. The oldest question in the universe. Hidden in plain sight.
Yes, but what is the question?
Unknown.
There is a theory which states that if ever anyone discovers exactly what the universe is for and why it is here, it will instantly disappear and be replaced by something even more bizarrely inexplicable. There is another theory which states that this has already happened. There is yet a third theory which suggests that both of the first 2 theories were concocted by a wily editor of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy in order to increase the level of universal uncertainty and paranoia and so boost the sales of the guide. This last theory is, of course, the most convincing.